Welcome back, sinners, and today we're diving into Dredd, a 2012 science fiction action film directed by Pete Travis and Alex Garland, starring Carl Urban, Olivia Thirlby, and Lena Headey, where we follow Judge Dredd in a massive dystopian metropolis where he's been given the authority of judge, jury, and executioner. The movie opens in the year 2080. America has degenerated into a dismal wasteland in the distant future. Mega City 1 is the name of a city. The desert's radiation is blocked off from it with a huge wall. There are 800 million people who live in megablocks and hardly ever leave their homes. Civilians are living in constant fear as there is immense violence and savagery that ravage the streets. A select group of urban police officers have been given the authority to serve as judge, jury, and executioner. Additionally, they have access to cutting-edge weapons like firearms that can read certain DNA and instantly switch the sort of bullets they're loaded with. One of these judges, Dredd, is now looking for 3 suspects in a van while riding his bike along the highway. These males are affected by slow-mo, a brand new type of pill with a high potential for addiction. It lessens the user's sense of time, which makes their driving somewhat unpredictable and erratic. They become aware that a judge is pursuing them, and one of them fires, but it misses. The driver chooses to turn off the freeway and into a regular street, hitting a pedestrian in the process. Now that they've transitioned from being suspects to guilty individuals, Dredd is free to respond. In front of a mega block, he fires at the car, causing it to collapse over. When he comes closer to check the damage, he finds only 2 bodies in the van, before hearing gunshots coming from inside the block. Dredd follows a trail of bodies left by the criminal until he finds the criminal pointing his gun at a hostage. He screams that he will kill the hostage if he's not allowed to walk out. Dredd tries to stop the matter from escalating further by offering a deal. The deal that Dredd makes, however, doesn't sound very good, as it's just jail without parole. But according to the law, if the criminal doesn't comply, the result would be worse. He'd be sentenced to death. Since the criminal doesn't want to comply, Dredd shoots a flare bullet right into his mouth, completing his judgment and execution. When Dredd returns to the headquarters, the chief judge introduces him to Cassandra Anderson, a 21-year-old woman that was born in a block near the radiation wall. She is a mutant with the most powerful psychic powers they've ever encountered, which is why she's allowed to be a new recruit. She didn't pass the test by nearly 3 points, but can join the force if her partner Dredd passes her on her trial case. She doesn't wear a judge helmet as it gets in the way of her special abilities. Dredd receives his assignment to take her out with him for 1 day in the field and assess her performance. Meanwhile, in a block called Peach Trees, there is a female gang boss, Madeline Madrigal, better known as Mama. She's a former call girl turned substance pusher. We see her bath is interrupted by her men Caleb and Kay, who have brought her 3 dealers that have been selling another pusher's product on Mama's levels. As a punishment, she orders her men to skin them alive, pump some slow-mo in them, and then throw them over the balcony. Slow-mo is a new, highly addictive medication that messes with the user's experience of time. After going through the basic rules, Dredd leads Anderson to use her best judgment to choose their first case. He tells her that they can only help with 6% of the 17,000 serious crimes that are reported every day. Anderson chooses the triple homicide at Peach Trees, and on their way there, she tells Dredd what made her join the force. Anderson wants to be a judge because she wants to make a difference in the lives of those from the blocks. She grew up in a mega block and knows that some good people inside the filthy-looking place dream of a good future. A future free of unlawful activities. Dredd is impressed and thinks this is admirable. When they arrive at the crime scene, they meet TJ, the block's medic, who gets them blood samples from the body so that they can identify the bodies. As Dredd logs the sample in the system, they quickly find a match that tells them all 3 bodies belong to a small group of junkies, with no other bigger group affiliation. Anderson concludes that this kind of death can only be a type of message from someone to someone. TJ agrees, telling them about Mama and her clan. Turns out, some time ago, Mama took over a client's business and gained control of the block by using extreme methods against the other gangs. Nobody ever stopped her because judges never had time to stop by a block like Peachtree's, which is mostly slums and poverty. TJ allows them to use his computer, and they discover the addresses of the victims on floor 39. To investigate, when they find the apartment on floor 39, they blow the door up with a small explosive and open fire on the people inside until they all surrender. Anderson is quite shaken as it's her first time in live action. However, she continues to work efficiently. When she handcuffs Kay, her powers let her see a glimpse of his memories, and she discovers he is the murderer they're looking for. Anderson doesn't share this with Dredd, as she's not 100% sure yet. As they don't have enough evidence to execute Kay, Dredd decides to take him back to headquarters with them for interrogation. All this is seen by Mama's hacker, and when he tells her about Kay being captured, she comes up with a plan to stop the judges from leaving. Her men seize the tower security control room after eliminating the guards and connect a special router to the computer, which allows the hacker to contact security control. He pretends to be a guard himself and asks permission to turn on the anti-war lockdown system under the excuse that they're just running some tests. When Dredd and Anderson bring Kay to the ground floor, it's too late, as the war protocol has been activated. Now the block is shutting down every door and window of the building. Next, Mama speaks through the speakers to the entire block, telling them that she'll keep the building under lockdown until the judges are eliminated. Clan members all grab their weapons and get on chasing the judges as the rest of the people run, stay inside, and try not to interfere. Mama warns them to end anyone who will help the judges. Dredd tries to contact headquarters, but their communicators aren't working because the shield is blocking their signals from getting out of the building premises. Dredd and Anderson decide they should wait at the med center, and on their way, they already have the clan members chasing them. They easily tackle after distracting them with a gas bomb and get to ride the elevator to their destination. It's also being protected by the clan members, so Dredd offers them a chance to surrender. However, they turn it down, and Dredd throws a stun grenade to eliminate them. They reach the med center, but TJ doesn't allow them to enter. He argues that as a medical facility, he's supposed to stay neutral. Trying to find another cover, Anderson and Dredd switch their weapons to silence mode. Both judges then drag Kay down the hallways, and when they're about to be found, Anderson uses her powers to convince one of the tenants to open the door. The person lets them inside, saying she doesn't want the thugs to end any more people. The judges wait as the thugs exit the floor. The tenant then tells them about the service elevator, which has a sign that says it's broken. She tells them that the elevator works if they choose a level above 75. As the three leave the apartment, Anderson sees a picture and realizes the man in the picture is one of the guys she ended earlier. Meanwhile, the block is surrounded by CCTV cameras, and Mama's hacker is following the group. When they make it to floor 76, the hacker follows Mama's orders and seals the quarters to trap them on that floor. Dredd quickly realizes they're being trapped and shoots the camera near them before ordering Anderson to take Kay to the elevator lobby and wait there while he investigates. While Dredd is gone, Kay takes advantage by trying to get on her nerves by telling her about the things they've done to young girls in the past. He even teases her for being a pretty mutant, as most are deformed after birth. Anderson doesn't allow him to get in her head. In the meantime, Dredd makes it to the balcony and finds Mama on the opposite side together with her men and a huge cannon. She doesn't hesitate to open fire on him without caring about all the residents. Dredd wastes no time in running back to the elevator. There, he notices Mama's cannon bullets are creating a hole in the outer wall. He takes advantage of the situation and shoots a high bullet to open a bigger hole that allows the three of them to escape without being noticed. Due to the explosions, all the security cameras are no longer functioning properly. When they're outside, their communicators are working again. So Dredd calls for backup before taking Anderson and Kay back inside. While walking among the smoke and the lifeless bodies of the residents, they come across Mama's men, who are looking for the judge's bodies. Dredd shoots them all except for Caleb, who he takes to the balcony and throws over the edge right in front of Mama. Dredd suspects Mama is desperate to keep Kay quiet and beats him for information. He thinks Kay knows way more than expected. Otherwise, Mama won't risk ending all the residents of an entire floor to keep him quiet. When Anderson tries to read Kay's mind, she discovers that peach trees is where slow-mo is made and distributed. Dredd insists they climb the tower and chase Mama, but Anderson suggests that they stay out of sight until help arrives. In response to Dredd's calls for backup, Judges Volt and Guthrie arrive. But Mama's hacker prevents them from entering by convincing them that the security system is broken. Anderson and Dredd are confronted by two armed teenagers, which Kay uses to disarm and take Anderson hostage. After taking her captive, Kay rushes and delivers her to Mama's base on the top level. To handle Dredd, Mama calls 911, which brings in the dishonest judges Lex, Kaplan, Chan, and Alvarez. They agree to end Dredd in exchange for 1 million credits. The hacker grants them entry to the block. As they make stories of how Anderson and Dredd made an illegal encounter, TJ approaches them. TJ tries to convince them that Dredd and Anderson didn't do anything illegal. However, the corrupt judges shoot him right in his head. They disperse to search for Dredd. Dredd runs across Chan, who pretends to be a backup. Dredd finds him suspicious and wonders why he doesn't inquire about Anderson's whereabouts. Chan attacks Dredd after having his cover disclosed, but is easily eliminated by Dredd. Meanwhile, Kay attempts to end Anderson with her weapon, but the pistol's DNA scanner fails to identify him and explodes, amputating his hand. She manages to end every other criminal, keeping an eye on her, and runs away. When Mama finds out, she orders Kaplan to end Anderson. Kaplan soon finds Anderson and tries to feed her lies to bring her out of her hiding. But due to Anderson's power, she quickly realizes the lie and promptly ends Kaplan with a shot. Dredd ends Alvarez, but he's out of ammunition. Lex takes this opportunity and shoots him. Dredd is injured, but Anderson manages to show up and end Lex. They find the hacker. When Dredd is about to end the hacker, Anderson uses her powers to find out that the hacker was constantly threatened by Mama to work for her. With the help of the hacker, Anderson and Dredd can enter Mama's residence and confront her. Mama informs Dredd that if she perishes, a gadget on her wrist would set off explosives on the top floors, demolishing the entire structure. According to Mama, the detonator is attached to her heartbeat. Dredd is not alarmed by the news at all. He shoots Mama on her stomach and tells her that they're 1 kilometer above the ground. Next, he grabs a bottle of slow-mo and compels Mama to inhale it. He grabs her by her neck and throws her down the atrium. When her body hits the ground floor, she's too far away from the explosives to activate them. Later, the block shielding finally opens and the Department of Justice arrives. Dredd notifies Anderson that her assessment is over. Anderson doesn't want to know the results, as she assumes she has failed and leaves. After all, she failed to shoot at the kids and also released the hacker without a judgment. The movie ends with the chief judge inquiring about Anderson's performance, and Dredd replies that she passed, as the film fades to black.